Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we're going to explore one of the most daring frontiers of mankind, the inspiring, challenging, and endlessly fascinating world of astronauts. These incredible individuals have the bravery to strap themselves into rockets and leave the only home they've ever known. They drift weightlessly, orbiting above our world at incredible speeds, while everything familiar is left far below. They eat, sleep, dream, and work in a place where the rules of Earth no longer apply. This environment changes their bodies in unusual ways, and many of them have experiences we don't fully understand. One thing we do know for certain is that they all witness sights very few humans will ever see. Life as an astronaut is not just a scientific adventure, but a deeply human one. It tests the body, bends the mind, and changes the way they see the Earth and themselves. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, you can like and subscribe, or share a thought in the comments below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, let's begin. Astronauts train underwater to simulate weightlessness. One of the closest ways we can mimic the strange sensation of floating in space is by going underwater. Astronauts spend countless hours submerged in enormous pools, wearing weighted suits that balance them out until they neither sink nor rise. In this delicate state, they move slowly and deliberately, adjusting their body position in 3 dimensions just as they would outside the International Space Station. The resistance of water isn't a perfect stand-in for weightlessness, but it comes surprisingly close, allowing astronauts to rehearse complex repairs, practice handling bulky tools, and even prepare for the disorienting feeling of being upside down with no sense of up or down. Inside these pools, spacecraft mock-ups are lowered so astronauts can practice every detail of future spacewalks. What begins as simple swimming gradually becomes choreography for life in orbit, training the body and mind to work where gravity is no longer in charge. NASA uses enormous pools with full-scale spacecraft mock-ups. The largest and most famous of these underwater training facilities is the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory in Houston, Texas. Imagine a swimming pool longer than a football field, so deep that divers can descend 40 feet without touching the bottom. Inside it sits a full-scale replica of the International Space Station, complete with modules, handrails, and equipment. Astronauts in their bulky suits spend up to 6 hours at a time practicing spacewalks here, while teams of divers watch closely and adjust their buoyancy with small weights or foam blocks. Every movement is carefully observed, timed, and critiqued. Even the smallest task, turning a bolt, closing a hatch, or positioning a cable, must be mastered in this underwater rehearsal hall before it can be attempted in orbit. To astronauts, this vast pool is both classroom and stage, where the skills that keep them alive in space are painstakingly refined. They spend hours upside down to adapt to blood flow changes. On Earth, gravity pulls blood toward our feet. In space, that pull disappears, and suddenly fluids shift upward into the chest, head, and face. To prepare, astronauts endure long sessions with their bodies tilted head down, a position that makes the heart and circulatory system pump differently than usual. It isn't particularly comfortable. Sinuses clog, faces swell, and vision blurs. But it mimics what happens when gravity no longer tugs at every drop of fluid inside the body. Training like this helps scientists study how astronauts will feel in orbit. The puffy moon face, the stuffy nose, and the pressure in the head that many experience. It also teaches crews to stay sharp and alert even when their bodies feel strange. By rehearsing these discomforts on Earth, Astronauts step into space better prepared for the strange rebalancing act their bodies must perform once gravity lets go. Astronauts must survive wilderness training for emergency landings. Space travel is glamorous in the imagination, but reality demands astronauts prepare for every possible misstep, including an emergency landing in the middle of nowhere. Imagine returning to Earth inside a small capsule, only to touch down far from rescuers, surrounded by icy forests, deserts, or oceans. To prepare, astronauts undergo survival training in some of the harshest environments on Earth. They learn to build shelters from whatever materials are at hand, to hunt and fish if necessary, and to stay alive until recovery crews arrive. Russian cosmonauts, for example, practiced skiing through snow with parachutes for warmth after their capsule might land in Siberia. NASA astronauts have been sent into swamps, jungles, and deserts to practice carrying out survival routines while still wearing bulky spacesuits. The message is clear: exploration doesn't end with re-entry. Astronauts must be ready to endure Earth's extremes as much as space's. Some train in deserts and caves to simulate alien worlds. Astronauts don't just prepare for survival on Earth, they also rehearse what it might be like to explore other planets. Desert landscapes, hot, dry, and barren, become stand-ins for Mars. Rugged caves, dark and twisting, offer a taste of what it would feel like to explore beneath the surface of the Moon. These places test more than endurance. They demand teamwork, problem-solving, and navigation in environments where communication is limited and hazards are everywhere. The European Space Agency runs a program literally called CAVES, sending astronauts underground for days at a time to simulate the psychological and physical challenges of planetary exploration. Learning to set up camps, map unknown terrain, and remain calm when equipment fails gives astronauts a chance to practice the mindset of explorers. These earthly training grounds remind us that before humans ever step onto Mars, they've already walked its echoes here at home. Parabolic flights create brief moments of weightlessness. If you've ever heard astronauts joking about the vomit comet, they're talking about parabolic flights, aircraft that fly steep roller coaster-like paths to create seconds of weightlessness at a time. The plane climbs sharply, then noses over into a free fall, and for about 20 seconds, everyone inside floats. It's exhilarating, disorienting, and often stomach-turning. Dozens of these parabolas are flown in a row, giving astronauts repeated practice in handling tools, moving their bodies, or conducting small experiments while weightless. Everything from catching floating droplets to rehearsing medical procedures is tested here. But the price is motion sickness. Many first-timers emerge pale, sweating, and clutching bags. Still, the training is invaluable. These fleeting pockets of zero gravity are the closest thing to space that can be created in Earth's skies, a strange and unforgettable bridge between our grounded world and the free-floating one above it. Astronauts train in virtual reality for spacewalks. Technology adds another layer to preparation. Before astronauts ever leave the airlock, they've rehearsed in virtual reality countless times. Wearing headsets and hand controllers, they move through simulated environments that mimic the International Space Station and the star-strewn void around it. These programs recreate the slow, deliberate pace of spacewalking, complete with realistic resistance when they turn a bolt or pull themselves along a handrail. Mistakes in VR may mean drifting off into the darkness, colliding with fragile equipment, or fumbling tools, consequences that are dangerous in reality, but safe to practice in simulation. VR also allows astronauts to repeat rare or complex procedures over and over until they become second nature. Just as pilots use flight simulators, astronauts use virtual space to build muscle memory. By the time they step outside the real station, the alien environment already feels familiar, mapped in their minds through countless virtual rehearsals. Military jet training prepares them for launch air forces. Spaceflight isn't only about floating gently above Earth. Before astronauts can drift in orbit, they must endure the crushing force of a rocket launch. Training in high-performance military jets introduces them to these extremes. Fighter planes can pull multiple Gs, forces that pin the body into its seat, make limbs feel unbearably heavy, and even cause vision to fade at the edges. Astronauts practice controlling their breathing, straining against the weight pressing down on them, and staying alert when their bodies want to shut down. They also experience rapid rolls and dives, which mimic the disorientation of space travel. This preparation ensures that when the real rocket roars to life, astronauts know how to remain calm, focused, and functional despite the tremendous stress on their bodies. It's not glamorous training, it's grueling, dizzying, and exhausting, but it's essential for surviving the violent path into orbit. Astronauts learn Russian to operate the ISS. Life aboard the International Space Station is a partnership, and that means astronauts must be multilingual. The station's systems, manuals, and procedures are written in both English and Russian, and Soyuz spacecraft, for decades the only reliable taxi to and from orbit, use Russian exclusively. As a result, every NASA astronaut is required to study Russian, often to the level of fluency. This includes technical vocabulary for navigation, safety systems, and emergencies. It's no small task. Mastering a language while also training in engineering, medicine, and survival skills demands immense dedication. But it pays off in orbit, where American, Russian, European, Japanese, and Canadian crew members must communicate seamlessly. Language becomes not just a skill, but a lifeline, binding together an international crew that depends on each other for survival. Space, it turns out, is not just an engineering challenge, it's a cultural one too. Even toilet repair is part of astronaut training. Astronauts might train to repair telescopes, conduct experiments, or command spacecraft, but one of their most important skills is much less glamorous: fixing the toilet. In microgravity, waste management is no simple task. Airflow, suction, and filters must all work perfectly, or the station quickly becomes unlivable. Astronauts learn to disassemble pumps, replace hoses, and troubleshoot failures, sometimes with improvised tools. When the toilet fails, as it occasionally does, astronauts have to act fast, working together in tight quarters while following complex repair checklists. It's a reminder that space travel is as much about plumbing as it is about physics. The ability to calmly repair one of the least pleasant but most essential systems is vital. Astronauts often laugh about this part of training, but they also take it very seriously. In space, the smallest comforts, like a working toilet, are matters of survival. Astronauts endure 3 times Earth's gravity at launch. When a rocket thunders to life beneath them, astronauts feel the immense press of acceleration. Their bodies are pinned against their seats as gravity seems to triple. A head that usually weighs 10 pounds suddenly feels like 30. Arms and legs drag heavily, and every heartbeat is working harder to pump blood upward. Breathing itself takes effort, each inhale like pushing against an invisible weight. This isn't just uncomfortable, it's training for endurance under extreme stress. Astronauts learn special breathing patterns, tensing their muscles in rhythm to keep blood flowing to the brain. Without these techniques, they could grow lightheaded or even black out during ascent. But once the engines cut off, the crushing force vanishes instantly, replaced by the soft, floating drift of orbit. That dramatic contrast, from being weighed down to weightless in a heartbeat, is one of the most unforgettable sensations of spaceflight. They sit atop millions of pounds of explosive fuel. Every astronaut knows the paradox of space travel. To reach the stars, you must first trust your life to a controlled explosion. Beneath their seats lie towering tanks of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, or kerosene, depending on the rocket. Together, they amount to millions of pounds of volatile fuel, chilled to extreme temperatures and waiting to ignite. The mathematics and engineering are flawless, yet astronauts are acutely aware that they are perched on humanity's most powerful firework. Even the sound of fueling is ominous, as cryogenic propellants roar and vent. When the engines ignite, the controlled violence below them is so great that it shakes bones, rattles teeth, and makes the whole spacecraft tremble. And yet, paradoxically, this is the safest way we know to break free of Earth's grip. Courage, trust, and engineering precision combine in that terrifying moment when fire becomes flight. Seats are molded to fit their exact body shape. Inside a capsule, there is no luxury. Space is tight, cramped, and unforgiving. To keep astronauts safe during launch and re-entry, every seat is custom-molded to its occupant's body. The process involves creating a perfect contour of their frame, from shoulders to hips, knees to feet, so that when the forces of launch slam them into their chairs, the load is distributed evenly. Without this shaping, bones and muscles would bear dangerous stress at only a few points. A molded seat cushioned the astronaut, holding them snugly in place as the rocket rattles and the capsule vibrates. It's a personal cocoon, one of the few things in spaceflight made precisely for an individual. Even the angles matter. Legs slightly raised, arms supported, head cradled. This strange spacefaring armchair becomes their throne for one of the most violent rides a human being can endure. Soyuz capsules are so small, astronauts wear diapers. The Russian Soyuz spacecraft, still one of the most reliable taxis to orbit, is famously cramped. 3 astronauts squeeze into a volume smaller than a compact car, shoulder to shoulder, knees tucked, barely able to move. The journey to space can last hours, and re-entry often takes as long. In such conditions, there is simply no room to get up, stretch, or use a toilet. So astronauts wear absorbent garments, essentially high-tech diapers, to handle the necessities of life during launch and landing. It is a humbling reminder that space exploration strips away dignity in favor of survival. For all the glamour of riding a rocket, astronauts must accept the basic realities of biology. They laugh about it later, but in the moment, this quiet detail underscores what spaceflight truly is, an endurance test of the body as much as a leap of technology. The Saturn V rocket remains the most powerful machine ever built. The Saturn V, used during the Apollo program, was not just a rocket, it was humanity's mightiest machine. Standing taller than a 30-story building and weighing more than 6 million pounds, it generated an astonishing 34 million newtons of thrust. The roar at liftoff was so thunderous it shook buildings miles away and rattled the chests of spectators. Yet inside, astronauts were strapped calmly into their seats, trusting that this towering inferno of engineering would carry them safely beyond Earth. Nothing since has matched its sheer, raw power. Space shuttles, modern rockets, and experimental vehicles all fall short of Saturn V's brute force. It was a symbol of ambition, determination, and audacity, capable of sending humans to the moon. For astronauts, riding atop it was the closest experience to harnessing a thunderbolt, one of humanity's greatest leaps wrapped in fire and steel. Space shuttles reached 17,000 miles per hour. To orbit Earth, astronauts must travel unimaginably fast, fast enough that gravity's pull becomes a perpetual curve. On the space shuttle, this meant reaching over 17,000 miles per hour. In only 8.5 minutes, they accelerated from 0 to orbital velocity, circling Earth every 90 minutes. From inside the shuttle, there was no sensation of rushing speed, only the sudden shift from crushing hair forces to floating weightlessness. Yet astronauts knew they were moving fast enough to cross the continental United States in less than 10 minutes. At this velocity, even a small piece of debris becomes deadly, and every maneuver must be calculated with precision. The shuttle was both a spacecraft and an aircraft, designed to glide back to Earth at the end of its journey. But while in orbit, it was pure speed, a silent bullet, endlessly circling the blue planet below. Astronauts lose track of up and down in orbit. On Earth, gravity gives us an anchor. Feet point down, heads point up. In orbit, those cues vanish. Astronauts quickly discover that up and down are meaningless when you're floating. One crewmate might strap a laptop to the ceiling, while another floats upside down to eat dinner. Soon, the brain adjusts, and astronauts find themselves equally comfortable in any orientation. At first, the confusion can make them laugh or feel queasy, but eventually, the human mind adapts. On the International Space Station, ceilings and floors exist only because of convenience. Stickers, stripes, or lighting mark them for habit's sake. Yet astronauts know that the true layout is relative. This freedom creates playful moments, like floating into a module head first, or drifting in circles as though inside a tumble dryer. In orbit, perspective itself becomes flexible, teaching astronauts to let go of Earth's invisible anchors. They strap into seats in case of turbulence. Space seems serene, but spacecraft are not always perfectly steady. During launch, re-entry, or even docking maneuvers, astronauts may experience jolts and vibrations. To prevent injuries, they remain strapped tightly into their seats during critical operations. The belts cross their bodies snugly, holding them like a second skin. In older spacecraft, turbulence was so severe that astronauts compared it to riding inside a washing machine. Even in the smoother International Space Station, sudden movements during docking can slam a free-floating astronaut against a wall. Being secured is a matter of safety as well as stability. Strapping in also provides psychological comfort, a sense of orientation when the outside world is chaotic. Once the maneuvers are over and calm returns, the belts come off, and astronauts float freely again. The contrast makes freedom in microgravity feel even more profound after moments of controlled confinement. Capsules re-enter hotter than the surface of the Sun. When a spacecraft returns to Earth, it must slow from orbital speeds, 17,000 miles per hour, to zero. That deceleration means plowing through Earth's atmosphere at breathtaking speed. Friction and compression generate heat so intense that the air around the capsule glows plasma orange. Temperatures soar higher than the surface of the Sun, threatening to melt the craft instantly. Only heat shields, made from ablative materials that char and peel away, protect the astronauts inside. To the crew, the view outside is surreal. Glowing streaks race past the windows, while radio signals fall silent in a blackout. Inside, they feel the rumble, the shaking, and the mounting GF forces as Earth pulls them back down. For minutes, their survival depends entirely on the shield beneath them. Then, at last, parachutes deploy, the roar fades, and they descend gently home, reborn from fire into gravity's embrace. Some astronauts vomit inside their helmets during launch. Space travel is not glamorous in every moment. The brutal acceleration, vibrations, and stress of launch can overwhelm even the most hardened astronaut. Some have been struck by sudden nausea and sickness inside their helmets, with no way to remove them until safety allows. It's a frightening situation. Vomit can clog breathing vents, smear visors, and even pose a choking hazard. To reduce the risk, astronauts carry absorbent pads and learn to manage motion sickness before flights. Still, the body is unpredictable. Accounts from astronauts admit that the combination of adrenaline, noise, and sheer physical stress can overwhelm the stomach. Yet even this vulnerability becomes part of their training. Staying calm, signaling to teammates, and managing discomfort while strapped into a roaring rocket. It's a stark reminder that astronauts are not superhuman, but profoundly human, carrying frailties into one of the harshest journeys imaginable. Astronauts see 16 sunrises and sunsets each day. Orbiting Earth takes only 90 minutes, which means astronauts witness a sunrise and a sunset every 45 minutes. In a single day, they see the sun rise and fall 16 times. The spectacle is breathtaking. The horizon glows blue, then orange, then fiery red, before fading into deep black. Curtains of shadow sweep across continents while city lights glitter below. For astronauts, time becomes surreal, measured not in hours, but in cycles of light and darkness. Some try to watch every sunset they can, savoring the reminder of home. Others close the window shutters to preserve their sleep rhythm. But the awareness never leaves them, that in space, day and night, are brief visitors, constantly chasing each other around the planet. This rhythm reshapes their sense of time, teaching them that what we take for granted on Earth is fleeting when viewed from orbit. Eating, sleeping, and working all happen while floating. On the International Space Station, gravity never pulls anything downward. Forks, notebooks, and even astronauts themselves float freely, drifting until nudged. Everyday activities, eating, working, sleeping, must be reinvented for this weightless world. Meals are strapped to trays with Velcro, spoons attached with magnets, and drinks sealed in pouches. Workstations include footholds and handrails so astronauts can stay in place while using tools. Even rest requires strapping sleeping bags to walls, ceilings, or wherever feels comfortable. This floating existence can feel liberating. The body relaxes, movements become graceful, like swimming through air. But it can also be disorienting. Objects vanish if left untethered, drifting silently into corners. Astronauts must constantly think about securing every item, even the tiniest pen cap. Daily life in orbit is both playful and practical, a reminder that space reshapes even the simplest human routines into something profoundly new. Meals must be sticky or moist to avoid floating crumbs. In microgravity, a single crumb can be dangerous. It may drift into an air filter, clog electronics, or even get inhaled into a crewmate's lungs. That's why astronauts' meals are designed to stay cohesive. Foods are moist, sticky, or compressed into bite-sized packets. Rice is served in clumps, casseroles are thickened, and snacks are often coated in gels or sealed into bars. Freeze-dried meals are rehydrated with hot water, transforming powders into edible stews. The design is not just about nutrition, but also safety. Every bite must behave in zero gravity. This has led to unusual culinary compromises: cookies that don't crumble, and sandwiches that avoid loose flakes. Astronauts quickly adapt, learning to eat slowly and carefully, guiding food from pouch to mouth. It's a strangely mindful experience, where even the act of chewing is done with awareness, knowing that in orbit, nothing is allowed to scatter. Bread is banned in space. Tortillas are used instead. At first, astronauts carried bread into orbit, but the crumbs quickly became a problem. Floating specks lodged in instruments, drifted into eyes, and caused endless headaches for maintenance. So bread was banned from spacecraft. In its place, tortillas became the staple. Soft, flexible, and crumb-free, tortillas can be rolled around fillings, used as makeshift pizza crusts, or folded into pockets for peanut butter and honey. Over time, They became a cultural icon of space cuisine, celebrated by astronauts from around the world. Taco night on the ISS is a favorite tradition, with crews sharing laughter as they build floating wraps. Tortillas last longer than bread without spoiling, making them ideal for months-long missions. What seems like a small culinary swap is actually a cornerstone of life in orbit, proof that even the simplest foods must be reinvented when gravity is gone. Coffee is sipped from sealed pouches with straws. Morning routines change in orbit. On Earth, coffee fills mugs with steam curling upward. In space, liquid doesn't behave. It clings to surfaces, forms blobs, and floats away. To solve this, coffee is sealed inside pouches, sipped through straws. It's not elegant, but it's essential. Astronauts crave caffeine for alertness during long workdays. Without coffee, the exhaustion of constant schedules and jet-lag-like sleep cycles would be overwhelming. Engineers have even designed special zero-gravity caps that use surface tension to guide liquid toward the lips, letting astronauts sip in a way that feels more natural. Experiments with espresso machines and lattes have followed, bringing small comforts of Earth into the void. Coffee in space isn't just a beverage, it's a lifeline, a ritual that connects astronauts to home. Each pouch, each sip, is a reminder that even in orbit, the human need for comfort remains. Hot sauce becomes a favorite as taste dulls in space. Astronauts often find that food tastes strangely bland in orbit. With fluids shifted upward in their bodies, their sinuses feel congested and flavors lose intensity. The solution? Hot sauce. Spicy condiments cut through the dullness, igniting the tongue with sharpness that doesn't rely on smell. Astronauts request bottles of Tabasco or chili pastes, squirting them into everything from eggs to pasta. Even mild eaters on Earth become fans of spice in orbit. It's more than flavor. It's a morale booster, a burst of familiarity in a sterile environment. Meals become occasions to share bottles and trade recipes, building camaraderie among crews from different cultures. Scientists study these cravings to better understand how space alters taste perception, but astronauts already know the truth. When your nose feels stuffed and the world outside is silent, nothing awakens the senses quite like a fiery drop of hot sauce. Salt and pepper come as liquids, not shakers. On Earth, shaking a salt or pepper grinder adds a satisfying sprinkle. In space, that sprinkle becomes a hazard. Granules float into eyes, electronics, and hair systems, creating mess and risk. To solve this, salt and pepper are served in liquid form, suspended in water or oil. A small squeeze bottle delivers drops that cling to food instead of scattering. It's a strange adaptation, but astronauts quickly adjust, seasoning their meals with squirts rather than shakes. The ritual becomes almost playful, watching droplets of spiced liquid drift before settling on a tortilla or rehydrated stew. For crews far from Earth, these little bottles carry comfort, transforming bland, freeze-dried meals into something closer to familiar. Salt and pepper in liquid suspension may seem trivial, yet it represents the endless ingenuity required to adapt human life to a place where even dust-sized particles cannot be left unchecked. Astronauts exercise 2 hours daily to stay healthy. Weightlessness is liberating, but it's also destructive. Without gravity, bones weaken and muscles shrink rapidly. To fight this, astronauts must dedicate 2 full hours every day to exercise. Their gym in space is a collection of ingenious machines. Treadmills with harnesses that strap them down, stationary bicycles that float while they pedal, and resistance devices that mimic weightlifting without actual weights. The routine is intense. Sweat beads float away. Equipment must be carefully anchored, and every movement must be controlled. yet it works. Exercise preserves bone density, strengthens the heart, and keeps circulation healthy. It also fights the psychological effects of confinement, offering stress relief and a sense of routine. Some astronauts say workouts are their favorite time of day, a chance to feel strong in an environment that constantly weakens the body. In space, fitness isn't optional. It's survival itself. Bone mass declines rapidly without gravity. On Earth, every step we take signals our bones to stay strong. In orbit, that constant stress disappears, and bones begin dissolving minerals into the bloodstream. Astronauts lose up to 1% of their bone mass every month, the same loss that elderly people might face in a year. The hips, legs, and spine are most affected, leaving astronauts vulnerable to fractures upon return. Calcium released into the blood also increases the risk of kidney stones, adding another complication. Exercise helps, but it doesn't eliminate the problem. Scientists study astronaut bone loss to better understand osteoporosis on Earth, using the extreme conditions of space as a natural laboratory. Each astronaut becomes a case study in how our skeletons respond when gravity is taken away. It is both a challenge and an opportunity, revealing that our bones are living tissues, forever shaped by the world we walk upon. Muscles shrink quickly in orbit without resistance training. Gravity is the constant personal trainer on Earth, forcing muscles to work with every step, every lift, every motion. In orbit, that trainer vanishes. Astronauts' muscles begin shrinking within days, particularly in the legs and back, which normally carry our weight. Without intervention, muscle fibers weaken, endurance falls, and fatigue sets in. Resistance exercise devices on the International Space Station simulate lifting hundreds of pounds, tricking muscles into working as if gravity was still there. Yet even with rigorous training, astronauts return to Earth noticeably weaker. Their first steps on solid ground can feel clumsy, as if their legs belong to someone else. Recovery takes weeks, sometimes months. But from this hardship, scientists learn valuable lessons about how muscles age, weaken, and recover. Knowledge that helps not only future explorers, but also patients here on Earth. Space teaches us that strength is never permanent. It must be maintained. Astronauts strap sleeping bags to walls so they don't drift away. On Earth, beds anchor us naturally. In space, with no gravity to hold them down, astronauts would simply drift around the cabin while asleep, bumping into walls, equipment, or even other crewmates. To solve this, each astronaut has a personal sleeping bag with straps that secure it to the wall, ceiling, or any available surface. The bag is narrow, cocoon-like, with just enough room for comfort, and zippers keep the body contained. Astronauts float inside them, arms drifting upward or outward in whatever position feels natural. The sensation is unlike anything on Earth. No pressure on the back, no pillow under the head, just the quiet embrace of weightlessness. The bags aren't luxurious, but they are essential, providing a sense of place in a world where direction doesn't exist. Strapped to the wall, astronauts drift into dreams, suspended between Earth and stars. Many describe floating sleep as like being inside a cloud. Imagine falling asleep without weight, without pressure on your skin, without a mattress beneath you. Astronauts say that floating in their sleeping bags feels almost like being suspended inside a cloud, soft, unanchored, and endless. Muscles relax more deeply than on Earth because nothing pushes back. Arms often drift into the air, curling into gentle positions as if underwater. This sensation takes some getting used to, especially for newcomers who miss the reassuring weight of blankets. Yet over time, many grow to love it. describing their nights in orbit as the most comfortable rest they've ever experienced. Floating sleep has its quirks too. Dreams feel unusually vivid, perhaps shaped by the brain adapting to strange surroundings. Some astronauts wake disoriented, forgetting which way is down. But as their eyes close again, the stillness returns, and they are once more floating in their private, weightless sky. Dreams in space often feature flying or falling. Astronauts already live in a world where gravity is absent, where every movement mimics flying. Unsurprisingly, their dreams often echo this sensation. Many report dreaming of soaring effortlessly through the skies of Earth, or drifting through cosmic landscapes that seem inspired by the view outside their windows. Others dream of falling endlessly, only to awaken and realize they are still floating. Sleep researchers are fascinated by these reports, noting that the unique environment of space may influence brain patterns during sleep. Dreams may also reflect longing. Some astronauts dream vividly of meals, loved ones, or familiar places left behind. The border between waking and dreaming blurs in orbit, where reality itself feels dreamlike, a world where objects hover and stars shine without flickering. In this surreal environment, dreams become both comfort and curiosity, painting the mind's canvas with echoes of weightlessness and home. Astronauts are lulled by the hum of spacecraft systems. Space is silent, but spacecraft are not. The International Space Station is filled with a constant backdrop of humming fans, pumps, and ventilation systems. Without them, air wouldn't circulate, and astronauts couldn't breathe. Over time, this mechanical orchestra becomes the lullaby of orbit. At first, newcomers notice the noise, comparing it to sleeping next to a running dishwasher. But eventually, the steady rhythm fades into the background, a comforting reassurance that the life support systems are working. For some, the hum is soothing. For others, it's a challenge, requiring earplugs to block the sound. The absence of familiar earthly noises, rustling leaves, distant traffic, the patter of rain, makes the mechanical chorus even more noticeable. Yet as astronauts drift to sleep, the hum becomes a heartbeat of safety. It's the sound of technology standing guard while they close their eyes, adrift above the world. They sometimes dream of Earth food they miss most. Astronauts often speak with surprising fondness about the meals they miss while in orbit. Fresh bread, crisp fruit, sizzling bacon. The simplest flavors become luxuries when every bite in space comes from a pouch or packet. Unsurprisingly, these cravings slip into their dreams. Some astronauts wake with vivid memories of feasts, only to be greeted by freeze-dried stew or tortillas filled with shelf-stable spreads. These food dreams aren't just about taste, but about comfort. The social warmth of meals with family, the smell of kitchens, the pleasure of choice. Scientists studying these reports see them as evidence of how deeply food shapes our emotional lives. In the confined, artificial environment of space, the subconscious holds onto Earth's simplest pleasures. For astronauts, dreams of pizza or fresh fruit are more than fantasies. They're reminders of the home awaiting them below. Astronauts grow up to 2 inches taller in orbit. Without gravity compressing the spine, astronauts' vertebrae gently separate, allowing them to grow as much as 2 inches taller. This change happens quickly, often within the first few days of arriving in orbit. While it may sound like a gift, it can bring discomfort. The spine isn't used to being stretched, and astronauts often experience back pain as their muscles and ligaments adjust. Clothing and suits tailored on Earth may suddenly fit awkwardly. The effect reverses after returning to Earth, as gravity compresses the spine back to normal length. Still, astronauts delight in measuring themselves, marveling at how their bodies change in ways impossible on Earth. This small detail underscores the profound impact of microgravity. Even the fundamental structure of the human body is reshaped. In space, you don't just float differently, you stand taller, a literal sign of life beyond Earth's pull. Their spines stretch without gravity compressing them. Every day on Earth, gravity pulls our spines downward, compressing the discs between vertebrae. In orbit, that constant pressure vanishes. The discs swell, vertebrae drift apart, and the spine elongates. Astronauts notice the change most when they first wake, floating with backs that feel strangely stiff or sore. Stretching exercises become part of daily routines to ease the discomfort. The effect is temporary, but it highlights just how deeply gravity shapes the human body. Without it, even our skeletons adapt, subtly reshaping themselves to a new normal. Researchers study these changes to understand spinal health on Earth, comparing astronauts' temporary elongation to the natural shrinking and expanding we all experience daily. In space, the process is exaggerated, unfolding dramatically in weeks instead of years. For astronauts, it's a reminder that their bodies are constantly adapting, stretching toward a form more suited for the stars. Fluids shift upward, puffing their faces and clogging sinuses. On Earth, gravity draws blood and fluids toward our legs and feet. In orbit, that downward pull disappears, and fluids redistribute throughout the body. Faces swell, eyes feel pressured, and sinuses clog, leaving astronauts with the sensation of perpetual nasal congestion. Photographs from orbit often show astronauts with rounder, puffier cheeks, jokingly called moon face. While mostly harmless, the fluid shift can be uncomfortable, affecting vision and even brain pressure. Doctors monitor these changes closely, as prolonged exposure could have long-term consequences. Some astronauts report that the constant stuffy nose dulls their sense of smell and taste, making meals less enjoyable. Yet the body adapts, finding a new balance over time. These puffy faces are not signs of sickness, but of survival. Proof that humans are reshaping themselves to function in a world without the tug of gravity guiding every drop of blood. Astronauts often feel stuffy-nosed in space. One of the lesser-known discomforts of orbit is the sensation of always having a cold. Without gravity to drain fluids downward, mucus accumulates in the sinuses, creating constant pressure. Astronauts describe the feeling as a blocked nose that never quite clears. This affects taste, breathing, and even speech, altering voices slightly while in space. To cope, astronauts rely on saline sprays, decongestants, and patience. Over time, the brain adjusts, recalibrating what normal feels like. But the stuffiness remains a frequent topic of complaint, particularly during the first days of adaptation. Scientists study these changes to better understand how fluid distribution affects the body, both in orbit and on Earth. For astronauts, it's simply another reminder that space is not designed for human comfort. Even the act of breathing feels subtly foreign, as if their bodies know they are far from home. Their eyes flatten, sometimes causing long-term vision changes. Perhaps one of the most serious side effects of long-term space travel is its impact on vision. The upward shift of fluids increases pressure inside the skull, pressing on the back of the eyes. Over months, this pressure can flatten the eyeball, causing farsightedness. Some astronauts return to Earth with permanent changes to their vision, requiring glasses even if they had perfect eyesight before. The condition, known as spaceflight-associated neuroocular syndrome (SASS), is now a major area of study. Researchers experiment with negative pressure suits that draw fluids back toward the legs, hoping to relieve the strain on the eyes. The problem is more than inconvenience. Clear vision is essential for survival, from reading instruments to piloting spacecraft. For astronauts, Each glance at Earth is precious, but behind those breathtaking views lies a sobering reality. Space can slowly reshape even the windows of the soul. Astronauts' hearts become more spherical in microgravity. Gravity gives the heart a constant workout, pumping blood upward against resistance. In microgravity, that demand disappears. Over time, the heart itself changes shape, becoming more spherical. The walls may weaken slightly and efficiency declines. Though astronauts remain healthy in orbit thanks to exercise, doctors worry about long-term effects during missions to Mars or beyond. The heart is, after all, a muscle that adapts to its environment. In space, it adapts by relaxing, but too much relaxation can be dangerous. Researchers study astronaut heart health with ultrasound and sensors, learning how to maintain strength in the absence of gravity. These findings also illuminate heart disease on Earth, where sedentary lifestyles mimic some effects of microgravity. For astronauts, the reminder is constant. Even in space, the heart is at work, reshaping itself quietly while the body floats free. The heart muscle can weaken without exercise. Exercise in orbit isn't just about strong legs or toned arms, it's about protecting the heart itself. Without regular resistance, the heart muscle gradually weakens, pumping less forcefully. Astronauts who neglect exercise could return to Earth with dangerously reduced cardiovascular fitness, struggling with simple tasks like standing upright. On missions lasting months, this risk grows severe. That's why treadmills, stationary bikes, and resistance devices are central to daily life on the International Space Station. Astronauts track heart rates, oxygen levels, and endurance, ensuring their most vital muscle stays strong. Researchers compare data from space with patients on Earth, finding surprising similarities to aging or bedridden individuals. Space becomes a laboratory for heart health, offering clues about how muscles adapt when gravity is gone. For astronauts, exercise isn't a hobby, it's an act of survival, keeping the heart prepared for the weight of Earth's return. Wounds heal differently in space. On Earth, wounds heal through a process shaped by gravity. Blood clots, cells migrate, and tissues repair in predictable ways. In orbit, this choreography changes. Fluids behave differently. Clotting can be slower or irregular, and the immune system may not respond the same way. Experiments show that cuts and scrapes often take longer to heal, raising concerns about medical emergencies during long missions. Infection risk also changes in microgravity, with some bacteria becoming more virulent in space. Astronauts receive medical training to handle injuries, from stitching wounds to performing basic surgery if necessary. Researchers study these processes closely, hoping to learn not only how to keep crews safe, but also how to improve wound healing on Earth. For astronauts, even a minor cut becomes a reminder that the body is a delicate system, evolved for gravity, now improvising its repair toolkit among the stars. The immune system can behave unpredictably in orbit. Life in space stresses the human body in ways scientists are still uncovering. One surprising effect is on the immune system. In orbit, immunity sometimes weakens, allowing dormant viruses like chickenpox or herpes to reactivate. Other times, immune cells behave aggressively, increasing inflammation. The cause may be a combination of radiation, stress, and microgravity. For astronauts, this means greater vulnerability to illness while far from hospitals or pharmacies. They undergo strict medical screening before launch to minimize risks, and missions carry extensive medical kits for emergencies. Studying these changes helps researchers understand how stress and environment shape immunity on Earth. Spaceflight reveals the immune system's flexibility, a system finely tuned to Earth's conditions, now tested in the most alien environment imaginable. For astronauts, Even their invisible defenses must learn to adapt to life among the stars. Astronauts' taste buds dull in spaceflight. Astronauts often notice that food tastes bland in orbit. The culprit isn't the tongue itself, but the fluid shifts caused by weightlessness. With sinuses congested and noses stuffy, smell, which is vital to flavor, diminishes. Meals that were once flavorful taste flat, leading to cravings for strong spices and sauces. NASA accommodates this by stocking hot sauces, curries, and tangy foods to keep meals enjoyable. Some astronauts laugh about becoming spice addicts in space, squirting chili sauce on nearly everything. The phenomenon provides insight into how the brain integrates taste and smell, and how delicate those senses are when the body changes. For astronauts, food is not just fuel, it's morale. Bland meals in an already monotonous environment can weigh on the mind. A splash of hot sauce or a tangy condiment becomes more than seasoning. It's a small spark of joy in orbit. They can experience space anemia with reduced red blood cells. Blood changes in microgravity. Studies reveal that astronauts often experience reduced levels of red blood cells, a condition called space anemia. Without gravity, the body destroys more red cells than usual, while production struggles to keep up. This leaves astronauts more prone to fatigue and weakness. On short missions, the effect may be mild, but over months, it can pose real risks. Returning to Earth, astronauts may feel especially drained as their bodies relearn gravity while still coping with reduced blood capacity. Scientists study these effects not only to safeguard space travelers, but also to understand anemia on Earth. By observing how the body regulates blood in an extreme environment, doctors gain clues about treating patients with chronic conditions. For astronauts, every heartbeat is a quiet experiment, showing how the most vital fluid of life responds when Earth's pull disappears. Cosmic radiation can cause flashes of light behind closed eyes. One of the strangest sensations astronauts report is seeing flashes of light, even in complete darkness. These bursts appear with eyes closed, during sleep, or while simply resting in darkness. The cause is cosmic radiation, high-energy particles from the sun and distant stars that pass through spacecraft walls and sometimes through the human body. When they strike the retina or optic nerve, they create the illusion of light, streaks, sparks, or bursts like tiny fireworks. At first, astronauts found the phenomenon unsettling, even frightening. Over time, they came to accept it as part of the cosmic environment. These phantom lights remind astronauts that space is filled with invisible forces, constantly interacting with them. Researchers use these reports to study radiation exposure, which poses long-term health risks. For astronauts, each silent flash is both a scientific curiosity and a humbling reminder of space's unseen energy. Astronauts report seeing shooting stars inside their heads. Beyond the flashes of light, astronauts sometimes describe the sensation as shooting stars streaking across their vision. These are also caused by cosmic rays, but the description captures the poetry of the experience, seeing the universe not just outside the window, but inside the mind. It is a reminder that space is not empty. It is alive with particles, energies, and phenomena that reach into the human body itself. Some astronauts find the effect enchanting, a nightly display that connects them more deeply to the cosmos. Others see it as unsettling, evidence of the dangers surrounding them. For scientists, these visions are valuable data, showing how radiation interacts with human biology. For astronauts, they are something stranger, a starfield inside their own eyes. Proof that even the act of seeing is transformed when you leave the protective cradle of Earth. Their balance system struggles without gravity. Many feel space sickness. The inner ear is designed to sense motion, balance, and gravity. In orbit, gravity disappears, and the system becomes confused. Signals from the inner ear no longer match what the eyes and body perceive, leading to a condition known as space adaptation syndrome, essentially, space motion sickness. Astronauts may feel dizzy, nauseous, or disoriented, especially in the first days of flight. Simple tasks like eating or reading can become unpleasant. Eventually, the brain adapts, recalibrating to a gravity-free world. Until then, astronauts rely on medication, rest, and patience. The irony is striking. People trained to withstand the violence of rocket launches may be undone by the gentleness of weightlessness. Yet this sickness is also a sign of the brain's flexibility. Once adaptation occurs, astronauts regain full function, proof that even in space, the body learns to find its balance again. Astronauts can't cry properly, tears form floating blobs. Crying in space is not like crying on Earth. Without gravity, tears don't roll down the cheeks, they pool in the eyes, forming stinging blobs of salty liquid. The sensation can be uncomfortable, as the tears cling stubbornly to the skin. Astronauts must wipe them away carefully with tissues, or wait for them to grow large enough to drift off. This strange quirk highlights how even our most human expressions are reshaped in orbit. Emotion itself behaves differently when gravity is gone. The act of crying, normally a release, becomes a reminder of the alien environment. Scientists note that tear behavior also offers insights into fluid dynamics in microgravity. For astronauts, though, the experience is often more emotional than scientific, a poignant illustration that even sadness must adapt among the stars. In space, tears don't fall. They float. A spacesuit costs tens of millions of dollars. Spacesuits look like bulky uniforms, but in reality, they are small spacecraft designed to keep a single person alive in the most hostile environment imaginable. Each modern suit costs tens of millions of dollars to design, build, and maintain. Layers of specialized fabrics protect against micrometeoroids, extreme temperatures, and radiation. Oxygen tanks, water cooling garments, and communication systems are all integrated seamlessly. The expense comes not just from materials, but from the years of research, testing, and refinement needed to balance safety with mobility. Every stitch is deliberate, every seam engineered to withstand the vacuum of space. Suits are customized and maintained with extreme care, reused across missions, and constantly upgraded with new technology. To astronauts, slipping into one is not like putting on clothing, but like donning an entire life support system. The price tag may sound astonishing, but it represents the cost of wrapping a fragile human body in a fortress of engineering. They provide oxygen, water, and thermal regulation. When astronauts step outside their spacecraft, their suits must instantly take over the role of Earth's atmosphere. Oxygen is supplied from tanks carried on the back, circulating through a closed loop that scrubs carbon dioxide with chemical filters. Water flows through thin tubes in a cooling garment worn under the suit, drawing away body heat that would otherwise build dangerously inside. Layers of insulation and reflective material help regulate temperature as astronauts move between sunlight hotter than boiling water and shadows colder than Antarctica. The balance is delicate. Too much cooling and the astronaut risks hypothermia. Too little and heat stress could be fatal. Fans, pumps, and sensors work constantly, creating a stable pocket of livable conditions where none exist. The result is a miniature ecosystem that astronauts carry with them, a personal bubble of Earth's comfort stitched into a suit that stands between them and the vacuum. The helmet visor has a thin layer of gold to reflect sunlight. Space is unforgiving when it comes to light. Without atmosphere to scatter and soften it, sunlight is blindingly intense. To protect their eyes and skin, astronauts' helmet visors are coated with a whisper-thin layer of gold. The metal reflects harmful radiation while still allowing visible light to pass through. The visor can be flipped down like sunglasses, turning the glaring star into something manageable. Gold's unusual properties make it ideal, strong, stable, and efficient at filtering without distorting colors. Through this layer, astronauts can gaze at Earth below or stars above without damage to their eyes. The gold is so thin it appears transparent, but it is a crucial shield against ultraviolet rays and infrared heat. A symbol of luxury on Earth becomes, in space, a necessity for survival. It is a reminder that in orbit, even sunlight must be carefully negotiated, tamed by the tools of engineering. Gloves are the hardest part to engineer, balancing dexterity and protection. Of all the components in a spacesuit, gloves pose the greatest challenge. They must shield against vacuum, radiation, and micrometeoroids, while allowing astronauts to grasp delicate tools and turn tiny fasteners. Layers of pressurized fabric make them stiff, and simply bending fingers becomes an exhausting task. Astronauts train for hours with glove simulators, building strength to handle long spacewalks. The balance between safety and dexterity is constant, too thick, and tasks become impossible too thin, and the risk of damage increases. Special heating elements prevent hands from freezing in shadow, while flexible joints improve movement slightly, though never perfectly. After hours in gloves, astronauts' fingers ache, nails bruise, and hands swell from the effort. Some even lose fingernails entirely. Yet gloves are indispensable, the only barrier between human skin and lethal emptiness. They are a marvel of compromise, proof of how survival demands both protection and sacrifice. Astronauts' fingernails sometimes fall off from pressure inside gloves. Spacewalk gloves must be tight to maintain pressure, but that very tightness can create painful problems. The fingers press constantly against hard surfaces, while repetitive gripping increases friction. Over long missions, the stress can damage nail beds, leading to bruising, pain, or even complete loss of fingernails. Some astronauts preemptively remove nails before missions to avoid the agony of losing them in orbit. It may sound extreme, but in the context of survival, it is practical. Engineers work to improve glove designs, experimenting with materials and shapes that relieve pressure without compromising safety. Still, the problem persists, a stark reminder of the human cost hidden behind technology's triumphs. Astronauts joke about it, but the truth is sobering. Something as small as a fingernail becomes a point of vulnerability when you are millions of dollars deep in equipment, floating above the Earth, gripping tools in the void. Spacewalks can last more than 8 hours. A spacewalk, or extravehicular activity EVA, is one of the most demanding tasks astronauts perform. Once outside the airlock, time stretches into hours of careful, methodical labor. 8 hours is not uncommon, with astronauts tethered to the station as they install equipment, replace panels, or conduct experiments. They work slowly, both to conserve energy and to avoid mistakes. Every motion requires effort. Pushing against a stiff suit or gripping with pressurized gloves is exhausting. Food and water are limited to small supplies carried inside the suit, and bathroom breaks are managed with absorbent garments. The psychological demand is equally intense. One slip of a tool or tether could spell disaster. Yet astronauts often describe spacewalks as the highlight of their careers. The sight of Earth drifting silently beneath them while they float in the endless black transforms even the longest, hardest hours into memories of wonder. The suits inflate, making astronauts feel like balloons. Spacesuits are not soft fabric shells, but pressurized environments. Once inflated, they become rigid, like personal balloons surrounding the astronaut. Moving inside them is awkward, every joint pushing back with resistance. Simple gestures like bending an elbow or turning a wrist require strength, as if wrestling against an inflated boar. Training prepares astronauts for the fatigue, but it never disappears entirely. Some compare the experience to working out continuously while wearing a stiff costume. Yet the inflation is essential, providing internal pressure to keep bodily fluids stable in vacuum. Without it, blood would boil and lungs would collapse. The balloon-like stiffness, though frustrating, is literally what keeps astronauts alive. It is a humbling reminder that outside Earth's atmosphere, even our own bodies must be pressurized just to exist. The inflated suit may feel clumsy, but it is the invisible war holding life inside. Astronauts wear diapers inside their suits during spacewalks. Spacewalks can last 8 hours or more, and once sealed into their suits, astronauts cannot simply step away for a bathroom break. The solution is practical, if undignified. Maximum absorbency garments, essentially high-tech diapers. These garments wick away moisture, trap waste, and protect the suit from contamination. They are tested for comfort and capacity, ensuring that astronauts can focus on survival rather than biology. Far from embarrassing, they are a quiet acknowledgement of human needs in extreme conditions. Astronauts accept them without hesitation. In the vacuum of space, dignity takes second place to safety. On Earth, this detail may spark laughter, but for those drifting above the planet, it is one of many small adaptations that make the impossible possible. Even in orbit, the body demands what it demands, and technology bends humbly to serve it. They carry small jetpacks for emergency self-rescue. One of the nightmares of spacewalking is drifting untethered into the void. To prevent this, astronauts wear a device called SAFER, Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue. It is a small jetpack, strapped to the suit, equipped with tiny thrusters controlled by a joystick. If a tether breaks or a push sends an astronaut spinning away, SAFER can fire gentle bursts of gas to steer them back towards safety. The device is rarely used, but knowing it is there provides vital reassurance. Training includes simulations of tumbling in space and calmly regaining control with SAFER. The thrusters are not powerful. They are designed only for short-range maneuvers, just enough to return to the station. Yet this humble backpack is a lifesaver, a final line of defense against the abyss. With it, astronauts step outside knowing they are never entirely helpless, even in the blackest sea. A rip in a suit could cause instant decompression. Spacesuits are lifelines, and they must be flawless. A tear, puncture, or rip could lead to catastrophic decompression in seconds. The vacuum of space offers no mercy. Air would rush out, pressure would collapse, and survival time would be measured in moments. To prevent this, suits are built from multiple layers of tough materials like Kevlar and Nomex, designed to resist sharp edges, radiation, and micrometeoroid impacts. Astronauts train meticulously to avoid hazards, moving slowly to minimize risk. Tools are tethered, handrails checked, and every movement calculated. Yet the possibility of suit failure always lingers in the background, a quiet, constant reminder of fragility. But astronauts still step outside, tethered to their ship by thin lines, speaks volumes about their courage. A spacesuit may look clumsy, but it is the finest armor ever crafted, standing between the human body and instant oblivion. Astronauts describe spacewalking as swimming in the blackest ocean. The first time astronauts leave their spacecraft, they often struggle for words. Many compare it to swimming, but not in water, in a silent, endless ocean made of blackness. Every push sends them drifting. Every pull of the handrail becomes a kind of stroke. The sensation is at once freeing and terrifying. A dance in 3 dimensions, with Earth hanging beneath them like a glowing jewel. Unlike diving, there is no resistance, no buoyancy, only infinite drift. The spacesuit becomes both armor and cocoon, hissing gently with the sound of life support systems. Astronauts describe the experience as humbling, making them feel both powerful and impossibly small. To swim in space is to confront the true vastness of the cosmos, to be a single, fragile swimmer in an ocean that has no shore, no surface, only eternity. Tools must be tethered, or they drift away forever. On Earth, a dropped wrench falls to the floor. In orbit, it drifts endlessly. To prevent tools from floating into oblivion, every piece of equipment astronauts use during a spacewalk is tethered to their suit or to the station itself. These cords act like lifelines, keeping hammers, drills, and even tiny bolts secured. Despite precautions, items still slip free, slowly rotating as they drift off, joining the countless pieces of space debris circling Earth. Astronauts joke about their clumsiness, but the loss of a tool can jeopardize a mission, leaving tasks unfinished or requiring replacements from Earth. Watching an object drift away is strangely haunting, a silent reminder of how unforgiving space is. What on Earth would be a minor accident becomes, in orbit, a permanent farewell to a tool that will circle the planet for years as an accidental satellite. The Hubble Space Telescope was repaired in orbit by astronauts. One of the most extraordinary feats of human spaceflight was the repair of the Hubble Space Telescope. Launched in 1990, Hubble initially suffered from a flawed mirror that blurred its vision. Rather than declare the mission a failure, NASA sent astronauts to fix it. In a series of daring spacewalks, they installed corrective optics, replaced instruments, and upgraded components. Working in bulky gloves tethered to the shuttle, they performed tasks that would challenge a jeweler on Earth. The repairs transformed Hubble into one of the most productive observatories in history, revealing galaxies, nebulae, and deep cosmic structures with breathtaking clarity. Astronauts would return on multiple missions, extending Hubble's life and capabilities. These spacewalks proved that humans could not only explore, but also maintain and improve machines in orbit. The vision of astronauts floating beside the giant telescope, tools in hand, remains one of space exploration's most iconic images. Micrometeoroids travel so fast they can pierce a suit or station wall. Space is not empty. It is filled with tiny fragments of rock and metal, hurtling at astonishing speeds, often tens of thousands of miles per hour. Even a grain of sand moving at those velocities carries the energy of a bullet. For astronauts on spacewalks, this threat is constant. Suits are built with multiple protective layers, but a direct hit could still puncture or tear. Spacecraft walls face the same risk, which is why modules are designed with shielding that absorbs impacts. Occasionally, small craters are found on windows or panels, reminders of the invisible barrage. Astronauts accept this danger as part of the environment, trusting in engineering and probability. Yet the thought lingers. That space is not only vast and beautiful, but also filled with hidden dangers racing unseen. To float outside in such conditions is to embrace vulnerability at its most profound. Astronauts sometimes lose bolts, cameras, or gloves to the void. Despite meticulous precautions, objects do escape during spacewalks. Bolts slip free, cameras drift away, even gloves have been lost to the abyss. Each item becomes a piece of orbital debris, circling Earth for years or decades. Some astronauts describe the haunting sight of the tool drifting silently into the black, spinning slowly until it vanishes from view. These lost objects are tracked when possible, catalogued among the growing population of space junk. In rare cases, they even threaten other spacecraft. For astronauts, the loss is both practical and emotional, a reminder of how fragile control is in orbit. Even the most disciplined grip can fail when gloves are stiff, hands are tired, and every motion is exaggerated by a pressurized suit. The void is always waiting, ready to claim whatever slips free. One astronaut's tool bag became a new orbiting satellite. In 2008, astronaut Heidemarie Stefanishen Piper accidentally let go of a tool bag during a spacewalk. The bag, filled with repair equipment, floated silently away from the International Space Station and became an unintended satellite. Visible even to backyard telescopes, it orbited Earth for months before eventually burning up in the atmosphere. The incident highlighted how even a simple mistake can have lasting consequences in orbit. The bag's slow drift was captured on video, a surreal image of human tools joining the endless swarm of objects circling the planet. While the loss was embarrassing, it became a story that astronauts retold with humor, a reminder that space travel remains unpredictable despite training. The toolbag satellite stands as both cautionary tale and curiosity, proof that even mundane items can, for a time, join the constellation of objects orbiting our fragile world. Some repairs require working entirely upside down relative to Earth. In orbit, orientation is meaningless. For astronauts performing repairs, this often means working while their bodies are twisted in unusual angles, upside down, sideways, or floating backward relative to Earth. What feels awkward on Earth becomes routine in space, where the absence of gravity makes every angle equally valid. Yet the brain still rebels at times, causing disorientation or nausea. Training prepares astronauts for this, but the challenge remains. Imagine fixing a car engine while floating, head first, tools strapped to your wrists. Repairs require patience, creativity, and teamwork, with crewmates guiding and double-checking procedures. Cameras broadcast their movements to engineers on Earth, who provide instructions in real time. Orientation may not matter to physics in space, but it matters deeply to the human body, which constantly seeks down. Astronauts learn to adapt, embracing a world where every direction is valid, and none are home. Even sweat can be dangerous if it escapes into electronics. On Earth, sweat rolls off the skin and evaporates. In orbit, it beads up into floating globes of salty water. During a spacewalk, sweat can collect inside helmets or drift into equipment. Electronics exposed to these droplets risk short circuits, corrosion, or failure. Astronauts wear cooling garments that circulate water to keep their bodies from overheating, but sweat is inevitable. Inside helmets, droplets can cling to eyes, noses, or mouths, blurring vision or making it hard to breathe. Astronauts carry small sponges and ventilation systems to manage moisture, but the risk never fully disappears. The simple act of sweating, so ordinary on Earth, becomes a hazard in space. Each droplet is treated with respect, contained and managed like any other potential danger. It is a reminder that in orbit, the body itself can become an unpredictable source of risk. Astronauts risk being space-burned by sunlight or frozen in shadow. Without atmosphere to filter it, sunlight in space is merciless, heating surfaces to hundreds of degrees in seconds. Step into shadow, and the temperature can plunge to the opposite extreme, colder than Antarctica. Astronauts must endure these swings during spacewalks, sometimes moving from blazing heat to deep cold in moments. Their suits are the only barrier, designed with reflective coatings, insulation, and active cooling systems. Yet even with protection, astronauts feel the changes. Shadows bring a biting chill, while sunlight can make helmets glow with blinding brilliance. The danger is not theoretical. Unprotected skin or equipment could quickly fail under these extremes. To work in such conditions requires constant awareness, pacing tasks between light and dark. For astronauts, the contrast is striking. Earth offers gentle balance, but space offers only extremes. To survive is to walk the razor's edge between fire and ice. A spacewalk is physically exhausting despite weightlessness. From the outside, spacewalks may look like graceful drifting, but inside the suit, astronauts are straining constantly. Every movement is resisted by pressurized fabric, every grip a battle against stiff gloves. Muscles tire quickly, and hands cramp after hours of gripping tools. Astronauts train for this on Earth, but in orbit, the reality is harsher. By the end of a spacewalk, they often feel drained, as if they have run a marathon while carrying weights. Sweat soaks their cooling garments, and dehydration is common. The return to the airlock brings not just relief, but often a profound sense of exhaustion. And yet, many astronauts describe spacewalks as the pinnacle of their careers. The fatigue fades, but the memory of floating in the void, Earth sprawling beneath them, remains forever. It is exhaustion born of wonder, the price of touching the edge of infinity. Astronauts endure months in confined quarters. The International Space Station is larger than earlier spacecraft, but compared to Earthly standards, it is still small. 6 or 7 people share a space the size of a modest house, with no privacy except for a phone booth-sized sleeping pod. For months at a time, astronauts live, work, and rest within this confined environment. There are no walks outdoors, no fresh breezes, no chance to wander alone. Conflicts can arise, and personal space becomes a rare commodity. Yet astronauts adapt with patience and discipline. They learn to respect boundaries, to communicate clearly, and to cooperate with one another. Living in such close quarters teaches them about resilience and teamwork, lessons that apply long after they return to Earth. The cramped life of space is not glamorous, but it reveals something profound about human adaptability. We can endure even the smallest of homes when the mission is larger than ourselves. They can't shower, only sponge baths with rinseless wipes. In microgravity, water doesn't flow downward, it floats in globes. A shower, as we know it on Earth, is impossible. Instead, astronauts stay clean with rinseless wipes and now-rinsed shampoo, rubbing themselves down carefully each day. A small stream of water can be squeezed from a pouch to wet a towel, but the droplets cling stubbornly to the skin. Hygiene in space is less about luxury and more about practicality. Sweat, oils, and debris must be managed to keep the station clean and safe. Clothing is worn multiple times before being discarded, as laundry is not possible. Fresh clothes arrive only when supply ships bring them. Astronauts miss the feeling of a hot shower, the steam and flow that signal relaxation on Earth. Many describe their first shower after returning as one of the most glorious experiences, a cascade of water rediscovered after months of absence. The smell of the ISS is described as metallic and burnt. Every environment has a smell, and the International Space Station is no exception. Astronauts often describe its scent as metallic, with hints of burnt wiring and antiseptic. The odor comes from recycled air, machinery, plastics, and the faint trace of human presence. Without open windows or fresh air, the smell lingers, becoming part of daily life. New arrivals notice it immediately, while long-term crew members hardly register it. Spacewalkers report an additional surprise. When they return from outside, their suits carry a distinct burnt smell, like charred metal. Scientists think this comes from atomic oxygen reacting with surfaces exposed to the vacuum. For astronauts, it is a reminder that space is not sterile, but has its own hidden chemistry. Though not unpleasant enough to cause distress, the smell of the ISS is unlike anything on Earth, a sensory marker of life lived off-world. Astronauts miss the sound of wind and rain. Soundscapes shape our daily lives on Earth: the rustle of leaves, the patter of rain, the call of birds. In orbit, those natural sounds are absent. The only noises are mechanical: the hum of fans, the whir of pumps, the clicking of switches. Astronauts often say they miss the chaotic variety of earthly sounds, especially the soothing rhythms of weather. Rain, in particular, is remembered with longing: its steady patter, its cool smell, its touch on the skin. Wind, too, is absent. Nothing stirs the air in the sealed environment of the station. These sensory absences create a kind of homesickness, reminding astronauts of how much of Earth's beauty comes through the ears as well as the eyes. When they return, many pause simply to stand outside and listen, rediscovering the symphony of their planet in every rustle and drop. Earth, gazing through the window, helps mental health. Amid the stress of long missions, astronauts find solace in gazing out the station's windows at Earth below. The view is breathtaking: continents, oceans, clouds, storms, all in constant motion. Watching the planet spin beneath them provides perspective, easing loneliness and stress. Astronauts describe feeling a sense of unity, seeing no borders from orbit, only one fragile world suspended in darkness. This practice of Earth gazing has become an informal therapy, a way to reconnect emotionally with home. Astronauts often take photos, sharing the beauty with those on the ground. Psychologists note that this ritual supports mental health, offering both inspiration and calm. For many astronauts, the sight of Earth is the most powerful experience of their mission, a reminder of why they endure confinement and danger. In moments of fatigue or doubt, one glance out the window restores purpose. They play guitar, write poetry, and paint in orbit. Life aboard the ISS isn't all technical tasks and scientific experiments. Astronauts also bring creativity with them. Guitars float in modules, their strings strummed during OF hours. Poems and journals are written in quiet moments, capturing the emotional side of life in orbit. Some astronauts sketch or paint, producing art inspired by the views outside or the peculiar sensations of weightlessness. These acts of expression provide relief from routine and stress, offering a way to stay human in an environment defined by machinery. Music in particular has become a tradition. The first guitar was sent up as a gift, and since then, many astronauts have used it to connect with Earth through songs broadcast back down. These creative moments remind us that astronauts are not just scientists and explorers, but also storytellers and artists, carrying the essence of humanity into space. Astronauts celebrate holidays with floating decorations. Even in orbit, holidays matter. Astronauts decorate their living quarters with floating ornaments, lights, and handmade crafts. Thanksgiving dinners may include rehydrated turkey and packaged pies, while Christmas trees are improvised from scraps or miniature models. Crews share small gifts, exchange messages with loved ones, and record greetings for Earth. These celebrations help break the monotony of long missions, boosting morale and reinforcing bonds among international crewmates. The floating decorations add a surreal charm, baubles drifting gently, tinsel twisting in slow motion. Though far from home, astronauts find ways to bring tradition with them, adapting rituals to the weightless world. For viewers on Earth, photographs of these celebrations are heartwarming, proof that humanity's customs endure even in the harshest places. Holidays in space are not about material abundance, but about connection, laughter, and remembering that even explorers need moments of joy. Some smuggled personal items like candy or trinkets, Despite strict regulations, astronauts occasionally sneak small personal items aboard their spacecraft. A favorite candy, a tiny toy, a trinket from home. These items serve as emotional anchors during months of separation. Smuggling is done quietly, usually with humor rather than defiance. Some stories have become legendary. A sandwich hidden in a spacesuit, candy floating in secret pouches, even small stuffed animals serving as zero-G indicators. These items break up the seriousness of missions, offering light-hearted surprises that delight crews. Mission Control often learns about them only after the fact and usually responds with a smile. The presence of these tokens underscores the humanity of astronauts. They may be professionals trained for danger and science, but they also long for comfort and familiarity. A single piece of chocolate drifting through the cabin can bring laughter, warmth, and the taste of home. They sometimes record music or films while in orbit. The unique setting of space has inspired astronauts to create art for audiences on Earth. Some record songs, strumming guitars against the backdrop of Earth through the window. Others film short movies, documenting life aboard the station in creative ways. Chris Hadfield became famous for performing a cover of Space Oddity while floating through the ISS, watched by millions online. These projects humanize spaceflight, transforming distant missions into shared cultural moments. They also allow astronauts to express emotions that cannot be captured in technical reports or photographs. Music and film from orbit remind people that space is not just science, but also story, adventure, and connection. For astronauts, the act of creating is a way to process their experience, to make sense of life in an environment so alien. These works are fragments of humanity carried into orbit, returning to Earth as inspiration. Astronaut crews develop unique microcultures and rituals. Every crew on the ISS is a small society, blending languages, habits, and traditions from different countries. Over time, these groups develop their own microcultures, shared jokes, rituals, and routines that define their missions. Some crews invent games to play in weightlessness. Others develop favorite meals or nightly traditions of storytelling. Rituals emerge organically, such as watching Earth together after dinner, or signing parts of the station with their names. These customs strengthen bonds, transforming crewmates into families. Psychologists study these cultures closely, since long-term missions depend on cooperation. The findings reveal that humans naturally adapt to new social environments, creating meaning and identity wherever they live. Astronauts may orbit hundreds of miles above Earth, but their instincts remain the same: to build community, to share laughter, and to find belonging, even in the silence of space. Astronauts often faint when standing after landing. Returning to Earth is not as simple as stepping off a spacecraft. After months in orbit, astronauts' bodies have adapted to weightlessness. Blood pools differently, muscles weaken, and balance systems grow unsteady. When they first stand after landing, some astronauts faint, overwhelmed by gravity's sudden return. Medical teams are always present, monitoring heart rates and offering assistance. The fainting is temporary, but it highlights how profoundly space reshapes the body. Even experienced astronauts must relearn how to live in gravity's embrace. To the public, a landing may look triumphant, but inside the capsule, the struggle is personal, bodies remembering what it means to be earthbound. These first moments back are among the most vulnerable, yet they also mark survival and success. With patience and rehabilitation, astronauts recover, carrying with them the memory of both weightlessness and the heavy welcome of home. Gravity feels crushingly heavy at first. After months of floating, gravity feels like an oppressive force pressing down on every joint and muscle. Astronauts describe the sensation as if their bodies have become leaden, their heads too heavy to hold upright, their legs reluctant to move. Simple tasks like walking, bending, or lifting objects feel exhausting. Gravity, once unnoticed, suddenly reveals its full strength. This heaviness is temporary, fading as muscles and bones rebuild strength, but the initial shock is profound. Some astronauts say it feels like being trapped in a suit of armor, every motion deliberate and slow. Yet this discomfort also deepens their appreciation for Earth. The weight that feels burdensome at first soon becomes grounding, stabilizing, and familiar again. The return teaches them that what we take for granted every moment, gravity's pull, is both a challenge and a gift. Their balance system needs retraining to walk again. The inner ear, which controls balance, depends on gravity to sense orientation. After months without it, astronauts' brains must relearn how to interpret signals once they land. Walking feels clumsy, steps uncertain, as though they are toddlers again. Balance training begins almost immediately, with exercises designed to restore coordination. Astronauts may stagger, wobble, or even fall in their first days back, despite being world-class professionals. The process is humbling but also fascinating, showing how adaptable the brain is. In time, it recalibrates, and walking becomes second nature again. Researchers study this process to understand balance disorders on Earth, using astronauts' recovery as a model. For astronauts, it is a strange reunion with gravity, rediscovering the art of walking, one unsteady step at a time. Astronauts sometimes stagger like toddlers on return. Watching astronauts take their first steps back on Earth can be startling. Despite their strength and training, they often stagger, wobble, or lean on others for support. Their bodies, deprived of gravity for months, behave as if learning to walk all over again. The resemblance to toddlers is uncanny. Careful steps, swaying balance, occasional stumbles. Recovery is swift compared to childhood, but the experience is humbling. These astronauts, who floated with effortless grace above the world, must relearn the basics of locomotion. It is a reminder that walking is not automatic, but a skill our brains and bodies maintain only through constant practice. Gravity is a teacher, and after months away, astronauts are its students once more, rediscovering stability on the familiar ground of home. They must rebuild muscle and bone lost in orbit. Despite hours of daily exercise in space, astronauts return to Earth with significant losses in muscle mass and bone density. Rehabilitation programs focus on rebuilding strength through carefully designed workouts and physical therapy. Resistance training, balance exercises, and gradual reintroduction to normal activities are essential. The process can take weeks or even months, depending on mission length. Astronauts describe the recovery as exhausting but rewarding, feeling their bodies come alive again under gravity's constant pull. These challenges are not just obstacles, but opportunities for science. Doctors study returning astronauts to learn more about osteoporosis, muscle degeneration, and recovery on Earth. Space becomes a natural laboratory for understanding how the human body maintains strength. For the astronauts themselves, rebuilding is a reminder of resilience, proof that even after months of transformation, the body can find its way home. Many describe Earth smells as overwhelming after space. The first breath after landing is unforgettable. Earth smells rush in with astonishing intensity. Grass, soil, rain, even the faint aroma of dust or smoke. Astronauts describe these scents as overwhelming, sometimes bringing tears to their eyes. After months of filtered, recycled air aboard the station, Earth's richness feels almost too much to bear. The olfactory system, dulled in orbit, reawakens with a flood of stimuli. Each smell carries memories, grounding astronauts in their home planet's sensory world. For some, the experience is joyous. For others, It is bittersweet, a reminder of all they missed. Scientists studying these reports gain insights into how sensory deprivation and restoration affect the brain. For astronauts, though, the moment is simple and profound. The smell of home, rediscovered, is one of the greatest gifts of return. The scent of grass or rain can bring astronauts to tears. Certain scents hold emotional power, and after months in orbit, even the most ordinary earthly smells can move astronauts deeply. Grass after rain, damp soil, or the aroma of leaves in sunlight, these trigger strong reactions, sometimes leading to tears. The smells carry memories of childhood, family, and everyday life, made precious by their absence. For astronauts who have endured confinement, stress, and distance, the sensory flood is overwhelming. Scientists studying the psychology of spaceflight note that scent is one of the most direct links to memory and emotion. The return to Earth is therefore not just physical but also profoundly emotional, a reconnection with the planet through its fragrances. To cry at the smell of rain may seem small, but in truth, it is monumental. A reunion with the living world after months among machines and silence. Some feel homesickness for space once back on Earth. Paradoxically, while most astronauts rejoice at returning home, some soon feel an unexpected longing for space. They miss the freedom of floating, the camaraderie of closeted crews, the breathtaking view of Earth from orbit. This homesickness for space reveals how profoundly the experience reshapes identity. Astronauts may dream of weightlessness, feel restless under gravity, or long for the simplicity of station routines. Psychologists study this effect, seeing it as evidence of the adaptability of the human spirit. Just as people can feel nostalgia for places far away, astronauts can feel it for the stars. The phenomenon underscores how spaceflight is not only a technical journey, but also an emotional one. For those who have lived beyond Earth, the longing is clear. They have touched a world that most never will, and part of them forever remains there. Astronauts sometimes dream of floating long after returning. Even after re-entry, astronauts' dreams often continue to feature weightlessness. They find themselves drifting through imagined rooms, floating above landscapes, or tumbling gently through the air. The subconscious clings to the sensations of orbit, replaying them long after the body has readjusted to gravity. Some astronauts find these dreams comforting, others disorienting, but all recognize them as echoes of their time in space. The brain's memory of floating is so profound that it imprints itself deeply, resurfacing at night. Scientists studying sleep note that these dreams reveal how powerfully new experiences shape the mind. For astronauts, they are reminders that part of them will always belong to the stars. Even while walking firmly on Earth, their dreams continue to drift among clouds, cabins, and constellations. The psychological shift is called the overview effect. Perhaps the most profound change astronauts report is not physical, but psychological. From orbit, Earth is seen as a single, fragile sphere without borders, suspended in blackness. This perspective often leads to a deep sense of unity, compassion, and awe, a phenomenon called the overview effect. Astronauts describe it as life-changing. Conflicts and division seem trivial when viewed against the vastness of space. Many return with renewed commitment to protecting the planet and fostering peace. The overview effect has been studied by psychologists, philosophers, and environmentalists as a transformative human experience. It is not limited to astronauts. Even photographs from space inspire echoes of it on Earth. But for those who have seen it directly, the impact is permanent. They carry the memory of Earth as one shimmering whole, a delicate jewel, and it shapes the way they live and dream forever after. Yuri Gagarin, was the first human in space in 1961. On April 12, 1961, the world changed forever when a young Soviet pilot named Yuri Gagarin became the first human to venture beyond Earth. His spacecraft, Vostok 1, was small and simple compared to today's standards, yet it carried humanity into a new era. Gagarin orbited Earth once, spending just 108 minutes in space. But those minutes shook the imagination of billions. His smile, broadcast across the world, became a symbol of possibility and hope. He famously declared, "I see Earth. It is so beautiful," words that resonated across nations divided by the Cold War. Gagarin returned a hero. Though the risks had been immense, the technology was untested, and no one knew how the human body would truly endure space. His courage opened the door for every astronaut who followed. Today, April the 12th, is celebrated as Yuri's Night, a global festival of spaceflight, honoring the first person to look down on Earth from orbit. Valentina Tereshkova was the first woman in space in 1963. Just 2 years after Gagarin's historic flight, another milestone followed. In 1963, Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman to fly into space aboard Vostok 6. A textile worker and amateur skydiver, chosen from hundreds of candidates, she was only 26 years old. Tereshkova spent almost 3 days orbiting Earth, more time in space than all American astronauts combined at that point. She conducted experiments, recorded observations, and proved that women could endure the rigors of spaceflight just as men could. Her call sign was Seagull, a name that captured the poetry of her mission. Though political forces often overshadowed her achievement, Tereshkova inspired generations of women to pursue careers in science and exploration. She remains the only woman ever to fly a solo mission. Her courage and stepping into the unknown ensured that space would not remain a frontier for men alone, but for all humanity. Neil Armstrong was the first human to walk on the moon in 1969. On July the 20th, 1969, the world watched in awe as Neil Armstrong descended the ladder of the Apollo 11 lunar module. His first step onto the moon's surface was broadcast to hundreds of millions on Earth, accompanied by words that have since become immortal. "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Armstrong's walk marked the culmination of years of engineering, sacrifice, and determination in the space race. The lunar surface, dusty and silent, bore the footprints of humans for the first time in history. Armstrong and his crewmate Buzz Aldrin planted a flag, collected samples, and left behind experiments that would continue gathering data long after they departed. That first step was more than symbolic. It was proof that humanity could cross the gulf of space, land on another world, and return. Armstrong's leap remains one of the greatest milestones in human history. Alan Shepard played golf on the moon. Astronauts are explorers, but they are also human, with humor and playfulness that follow them into space. Alan Shepard, the first American in space, carried this spirit to the moon. During the Apollo 14 mission in 1971, he smuggled a makeshift 6-iron head attached to a tool handle and, on live broadcast, swung at a golf ball on the lunar surface. His first attempt was clumsy, the stiff suit limiting his motion, but the second connected cleanly. The ball sailed into the low lunar gravity, flying far beyond what would be possible on Earth. Shepard quipped, "Miles and miles and miles," though in reality, the ball traveled only a few hundred yards. Still, the sight of an astronaut golfing on another world became iconic. It was a reminder that even in the midst of danger and discovery, astronauts carried the joy and humor of Earth with them. John Young smuggled a corned beef sandwich into orbit. Space missions are tightly controlled, but astronauts sometimes bend the rules in surprising ways. In 1965, during the Gemini 3 mission, astronaut John Young smuggled a corned beef sandwich into his spacesuit. Midway through the flight, he pulled it out and offered it to his crewmate, Gus Grissom. The two took bites before realizing that crumbs were floating into the cabin, a dangerous hazard, since they could interfere with electronics or ventilation systems. Mission Control was not amused, and Young was scolded afterward. But the story became legend. A day a corned beef sandwich flew in orbit. The sandwich was preserved in lore, a symbol of astronauts' rebellious humor in the face of rigid schedules. Though it caused more trouble than laughter at the time, it revealed something essential. Astronauts are human beings, and even in space, they sometimes crave a taste of home. Astronauts have taken stuffed animals as zero-G indicators. Before sophisticated sensors, astronauts relied on simple tricks to know when their spacecraft had reached orbit. One tradition that continues even today is bringing a small stuffed animal into the cabin. Tied to a string, the toy dangles visibly in view of the crew. The moment it begins to float freely, they know they have achieved weightlessness. These toys often carry personal meaning, gifts from children, mascots of schools, or tokens of good luck. Photos from missions show bears, dinosaurs, and cartoon characters drifting serenely beside control panels. The sight is whimsical, a soft counterpoint to the harshness of spaceflight. For astronauts, these mascots offer comfort and connection to loved ones far away. For the rest of us, they remind us that even in the high-tech realm of rockets and orbits, small symbols of innocence still find their place. The Apollo astronauts left family photos on the moon. Among the many objects left on the lunar surface by Apollo astronauts are not only scientific instruments and flags, but also deeply personal items. On Apollo 16, astronaut Charles Duke left a laminated family photo showing himself, his wife, and their 2 sons. On the back, he wrote a message declaring that it was left on the moon in 1972. The photo still lies there, slowly fading under harsh sunlight and vacuum. Other astronauts left mementos too, medals, patches, and symbolic tokens. These gestures turned the moon into not just a site of exploration, but a place touched by human intimacy and memory. Family photos are among the most poignant artifacts, bridging the gulf between earthly love and extraterrestrial adventure. They remind us that behind every mission lies the human heart, carrying reminders of those waiting at home. Buzz Aldrin took communion on the lunar surface. After Apollo 11 historic landing, Buzz Aldrin asked for a moment of quiet. In the lunar module, before stepping outside, he performed a private communion using a small kit prepared by his church. He poured wine into a cup, the liquid curling strangely in low gravity, and broke bread. He read scripture silently and gave thanks, reflecting on the enormity of the moment. NASA did not broadcast this act, wary of controversy, but later Aldrin shared the story. For him, it was a way of grounding a cosmic achievement in personal faith. The act remains one of the most intimate gestures ever performed in space. While Armstrong's first step became a global symbol, Aldrin's communion revealed the private, human ways astronauts bring meaning to the unknown. It showed that exploration is not just physical but also spiritual, connecting the heavens to personal belief. Some Apollo astronauts heard mysterious space music behind the moon. During Apollo 10 in 1969, as the spacecraft passed behind the moon and lost radio contact with Earth, astronauts reported hearing stranger whistling sounds in their headsets. They described it as space music, eerie and unexplainable. The recordings were archived for decades before being released publicly, sparking intrigue and speculation. Scientists later concluded the sounds were likely caused by radio interference between the lunar module and command module systems. Still, For the astronauts drifting alone behind the moon, cut off from all communication, the effect was unsettling. They joked about it at the time, but the memory lingered. The episode highlights how the unfamiliar environment of space can turn technical glitches into mysteries. Even for trained professionals, the cosmos retains a touch of the unknown, whispers in the dark, music where none should be. The longest continuous time in space was over 14 months. The record for the longest continuous human stay in space belongs to Russian cosmonaut Valery Polyakov. From January 1994 to March 1995, he spent 437 days aboard the Mir space station, over 14 months without setting foot on Earth. His mission was designed to test the limits of human endurance in preparation for future voyages to Mars. Polyakov endured isolation, confinement, and the constant demands of life in orbit. He exercised daily, conducted experiments, and communicated with Earth, but did not return home for more than a year. When he finally landed, he insisted on walking from the capsule unaided, proving that humans could endure such long missions and still function. His record stands as both a medical milestone and a testament to resilience. 14 months of weightlessness reshaped his body, but his willpower and discipline became legendary. Astronauts have tweeted and posted selfies from orbit. Space has become connected to Earth in new ways. Today's astronauts share their experiences directly through social media, posting tweets, photos, and even videos from orbit. Selfies with Earth in the background have become popular, showing astronauts floating beside windows with oceans, continents, and auroras sprawled beneath them. These glimpses allow millions on Earth to experience spaceflight vicariously, bringing humanity closer to the cosmos. Astronauts share everything from stunning images of storms to casual jokes about floating haircuts or meals gone wrong. The immediacy of social media transforms space into something intimate, not distant. For the first time in history, explorers in orbit can speak directly to anyone with a smartphone. This new tradition makes spaceflight not only a scientific endeavor, but also a shared human story, unfolding in real time for the entire world. Chris Hadfield performed a famous song cover in space. Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield captured the world's imagination when he recorded a cover of David Bowie's Space Oddity aboard the ISS in 2013. Floating with his guitar, he sang lines about space while the Earth turned silently behind him. The video went viral, watched by tens of millions, and even received Bowie's blessing as the most moving version ever done. The performance blended science and art in a way few had imagined possible, turning a space station into a concert hall. For many, Hadfield's song became the most personal connection they had ever felt to life in orbit. It demonstrated that astronauts are not just test subjects and engineers, but also artists, capable of inspiring through creativity. The moment proved that space exploration belongs not only to science, but also to culture, shaping dreams as much as discoveries. Astronauts grow lettuce, flowers, and even chili peppers aboard the ISS. Growing food in space is more than a novelty. It is a step toward survival on long missions. Astronauts aboard the ISS have nurtured lettuce, zinnias, mustard greens, and even chili peppers. Using LED lighting and carefully designed hydroponic systems, they watch tiny seeds sprout and grow in microgravity. The plants are studied for their biology, but they also provide emotional comfort, a splash of green in a world of metal and plastic. Eating the harvest is both scientific and celebratory. Astronauts relish the fresh flavors after months of packaged meals. Growing crops in orbit is a vital rehearsal for Mars missions, where resupply from Earth will be impossible. Each leaf of lettuce, each blossom of a flower, is a pioneer in its own right, proof that life can flourish even among the stars. Some research focuses on baking bread and cookies in orbit. Food in space has always been packaged and rehydrated, but astronauts miss the warmth of freshly baked goods. Recently, experiments have explored whether bread and cookies can be baked in microgravity. The challenge is immense. Without gravity, dough doesn't settle, heat moves differently, and crumbs are dangerous. Specialized ovens have been designed to bake slowly and evenly in sealed compartments. Astronauts have successfully baked chocolate chip cookies, though the first attempts took hours. The aroma of baking floating through the ISS delighted the crew. Beyond comfort, these experiments are crucial for future missions, where astronauts will need to produce fresh food during years-long journeys. The idea of breaking bread on Mars or smelling cookies aboard a spacecraft turns exploration into something profoundly human. It shows that even in the harshest frontier, people long for the simple pleasures of home. Astronauts print tools with 3D printers in space. Carrying every possible tool for a mission is impractical, so astronauts have begun manufacturing their own equipment in orbit. A 3D printer aboard the ISS allows them to design and print tools, parts, and components on demand. In 2014, the first wrench was printed in space using a digital file sent from Earth. Since then, astronauts have printed brackets, adapters, and other vital items. This capability reduces dependence on supply ships and opens the door to true self-sufficiency in space. On future missions to Mars, 3D printing will be essential, allowing astronauts to repair equipment, build habitats, or even create medical devices. The act of printing a tool in orbit is revolutionary. It turns space from a place of scarcity into one of creativity. For the first time, astronauts are not just users of technology, but makers, shaping their own survival one layer at a time. They conduct experiments with fire, liquids, and magnetism in microgravity. The absence of gravity changes the rules of physics, making the ISS a unique laboratory. Astronauts conduct experiments that cannot be done on Earth. How flames behave in weightlessness, how fluids mix and float, how magnetism interacts with motion. Fire in microgravity forms spheres instead of flickering flames, revealing new chemical processes. Liquids gather into globes, merging and separating in mesmerizing ways. These experiments are not just beautiful, but scientifically vital, advancing knowledge in materials science, fluid dynamics, and medicine. Watching astronauts manipulate floating droplets or ignite controlled flames is like seeing physics reborn. The station becomes a place where the universe is tested under new conditions, where every experiment carries both practical applications and the poetry of discovery. For astronauts, the chance to play scientist in zero-G is one of the most rewarding aspects of their missions. Astronauts tested a space espresso machine. Coffee is a comfort, and astronauts missed it dearly. To solve this, engineers collaborated with Italian companies to create the IES espresso machine, designed to brew espresso safely in orbit. Delivered to the station in 2015, it used capsules and a specially engineered system to handle hot liquids under pressure in microgravity. The coffee was sipped from transparent pouches, allowing astronauts to see and enjoy the rich brew. For many, it was more than just a beverage. It was a taste of culture, ritual, and normalcy. The project demonstrated that even luxuries have value in space, contributing to morale and well-being. Astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti famously posed with her espresso while wearing a Star Trek uniform, sipping as Earth floated behind her. The photo captured the spirit of the experiment, serious engineering used to deliver a moment of delight among the stars. They've sent DNA sequencing labs into orbit. In recent years, astronauts have carried advanced biotechnology into space, including DNA sequencing machines. These devices allow them to analyze microbes, plants, and even their own genetic material in orbit. The goal is to monitor health, detect infections, and study how living systems change in microgravity. Performing DNA sequencing in space was once thought impossible, but astronauts proved it could be done reliably. This ability transforms the ISS into not just a physics lab, but a biological frontier, where life is studied at its most fundamental level. The research prepares humanity for long voyages, where medical self-reliance will be essential. For astronauts, the act of sequencing DNA above Earth is awe-inspiring, peering into the code of life while orbiting the planet that gave it birth. It is a powerful blend of biology and exploration, bringing science full circle. Astronauts are preparing for future Mars missions. Every mission aboard the ISS contributes knowledge toward a larger goal, sending humans to Mars. Astronauts train, experiment, and endure long-duration flights to understand what it will take to travel for years through deep space. They test habitats, grow food, recycle water, and study radiation exposure. Robotics and 3D printing are refined to support independence from Earth. Psychologists study group dynamics, knowing that Mars crews will face isolation unlike anything before. Though the date of a Mars mission remains uncertain, astronauts speak often of it as the ultimate horizon. For them, the dream is not abstract. They know that the data they collect, the experiments they run, and the sacrifices they make all add bricks to the road that leads outward. To prepare for Mars is to accept humanity's destiny as a species that does not remain bound to one world. Space tourists are beginning to fly alongside career astronauts. For decades, spaceflight was the domain of government-trained professionals. Now, private companies are opening the door for ordinary people, albeit wealthy ones, to visit orbit. Space tourists have already flown aboard Russian Soyuz capsules, and commercial missions are being developed by companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin. These travelers undergo training, but are not career astronauts. Their presence marks the beginning of a new era. Space as a destination not only for exploration, but for experience. Some see it as frivolous, others as inevitable. Astronauts themselves often welcome the development, knowing that democratizing space will drive innovation and funding. The sight of tourists floating in the same cabins as professionals is surreal, but it may become common in the future. Just as air travel once seemed reserved for the elite, space tourism may someday become part of everyday life, the universe open to all. And so, we drift back down from orbit. From the first brave steps of Yuri Gagarin and Valentina Tereshkova to the quiet hum of astronauts sleeping in floating cocoons, to the scent of Earth's grass and rain rediscovered after months away, these stories remind us that astronauts are not just explorers of space, but explorers of what it means to be human. They carry their creativity, their humor, their small comforts and rituals into places where no wind blows, no rain falls, and no ground lies beneath their feet. Each mission shows us how fragile the body is, and yet how strong the spirit can be when faced with the infinite. If you've made it this far, I hope your mind feels both calmer and fuller, filled with wonder and quiet awe. If you happen to still be awake, you're welcome to stay a while and join me again in the next video. But if your eyes are heavy and your breath has slowed, then may you rest easy, carried gently into sleep, dreaming, perhaps, of drifting among the stars. Good night.